Okay, the record is on. Thank you for joining me tonight, Coach Darryl, for our coaches series. This is something that has carried over from the summer, and based on our summer sessions, I've compiled a little bit of a list of questions that typically come up from our recruits or anybody interested in collegiate athletics. So just to start off, we'll jump right into question number one for your teams. In a normal year, I know you've just jumped in with the team, so you haven't necessarily had the ability to jump in for a normal week with your team. But what would a typical week with your team run like, do you think, once things get going?
Yeah, I mean, we make the most of what's happening right now with the COVID situation, of course. But we'll try to practice when they come into campus in August. We'll have our training camp. So that would be three days to evaluate our current players and then our players coming in. Once we get through that, then we start our season right away, where we'll have our games would be on the weekends. Typically, we'll try to have practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then with optional stuff on Monday and Friday, depending on how the week goes. So again, it's a balance between making sure that they're prepared for the games and competition, making sure they're keeping up with their studies, and then of course staying healthy. So it's balancing that week, and then being very efficient with our time, just to make sure that everything is they're ready to go and can compete at the most important times.
And then kind of piggybacking off that one to the next question, can you just kind of run through how practices will typically run for your team, maybe all the way from the beginning of practice when guys might have to come in early and see AT all the way to the end, and how you guys might finish practices off?
Yeah, so I mean, again, it's being efficient with our time. So it's outlining what needs to be done from an individual standpoint. So their individual skills, whether it be defense, hitting, and then of course when we have our team defense and those things, that's when we'll have everybody together. Flexibility with time and making sure that guys get their individual work done. There could be scenarios where, we just have our infielders come in for 45 minutes to an hour. They get their work in, and then the outfielders and catchers can show up, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the pitchers will they'll be on their program, making sure they get their throwing in every day. And again, it's very much just getting your work in, understanding what needs to be done and accomplishing that. And then our days when we need to have our full team there, we'll have those as well. So that's when we'll concentrate on our team defense, whether it's bunt defense, cuts and relays, or rundowns and things like that. So it's just going to vary based on what we need to do. That's a big thing is using the game, seeing what happens, and then coming up with our plan accordingly to make sure that we can fix anything that needs to be fixed.
Awesome. So for this next part, we're just going to jump in and talk a little bit about the facilities. So what I'll actually do is I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'll pull up a photo of a couple areas within our campus and within our baseball program that athletes should be familiar with once they attend and are able to take advantage of it. And if you maybe just want to talk to each one as we go through, sure. I'm going to start with Kinsman Stadium, which is the home for Lords baseball.
Yeah, so I mean, Kinsman's been around for a long time. For anybody familiar with the Durham region, it's one of the luxuries, and I feel very fortunate to be able to call this place our home park. I think the players really like it when they get there. It's got a nice atmosphere, which makes it enjoyable to show up. So I mean, coming there, getting our work done isn't as difficult when we have a nice facility like this. So we're very proud to call Kinsman our home.
And then obviously you have the team room there that you're able to take advantage of, the cages. You guys have the big equipment you're able to pull out for your warm-ups and everything. So there's lots of extras there for the team, and you guys Absolutely. Are there.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. I mean, that goes with Baseball Oshawa as well, and of course Durham College. So I mean, it has everything that we need. It's very much I've seen a lot of facilities around, and we have everything that we need to have. So I mean, the cages there, all the equipment, they have the clubhouse there with the individual lockers and stalls, and it's quite impressive. It's a great experience for the kids to come and enjoy.
And some seriously deep outfield walls.
Absolutely, it's nicer to be a left-handed hitter for sure in this park, but I mean, it plays well. If you can run, it plays well. There's a lot of extra base opportunities in Kinsman for sure, and as well from the pitching side. If you have a nice defensive outfield and some speed, Kinsman can be a very, very friendly place to pitch as well.
So from there, I'll switch over to the field house, which you guys are able to utilize a lot right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge. I mean, this is for me a huge separator to have this space. I graduated at Durham. They did their best when I was there before, but I mean, it was in a gym. Like I said, they've done their best. They've had cages in there, but this for me is a difference maker. We can get all of our defense that we need to done in here. I mean, it's not shown in here, but there's a 70-foot batting cage where we can have 2-3 stations going on at a time. And again, anything that needs to get done, we get done in here. So this is huge for our program. It's huge again, just for the kids who play, and there's in summer ball as well. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing in the off season is getting them prepared for May for their summer seasons. And they take full advantage of that. And this is, to have these facilities here, we really are fortunate. And again, that leads to success on the field for us.
The ability to train all year round is definitely a bonus.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's becoming. Again, that we have athletic therapy that's there all the time. That's huge. I mean, just again, because we have to monitor as you increase the amount of time that they're training, you definitely need to monitor any nagging injuries or just times that they need to rest. So we're very fortunate to have great athletic therapy staff, as well as student trainers do an excellent job for us. So again, just another luxury that we have, and very fortunate.
From there, we'll shift over to the front end of the CRWC here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a place here. It's nice to walk into. It's one of those places though. You're hoping you're there to lift, not to see too much athletic therapy, unless it's for just some maintenance. But again, once we get in there, they do a great job. If there's any injuries, the trainers are right on top of it to make sure that nothing gets overlooked. Of course, concussion protocols are very, very important and taken very serious. So, it's something where they pay a lot of attention, and details are making sure that the details are done. So, but again, this is a place where a lot of it happens. It's kind of the second home, I would say, from an athlete, and everything can get done in here. And hopefully, for the athletic therapy, it's for maintenance, and not treating too many injuries. But if those things occur, we're definitely prepared for them as well.
And then, along with having our athletic therapy clinic in there, we also have, you touched on it a little bit, but the flex and our ETS area, which is specific to our varsity athletes.
Yeah. So again, another spot where a real focus for all athletes this year has been training and team training, and a lot of the baseball program now is taking full advantage of it. So it's something that is necessary. I mean, not just to be an athlete and play, varsity sport. It's just, a life skill to learn. So they do a great job at ETS to prepare them for that. And what I'm really noticing, I've been around a lot of programs with trainers, and there's a lot of detail. So the players really understand why they're doing something. And there's a lot of dialogue between the questions between the the athlete and the trainer to make sure that they understand what they're doing. I think in a weightlifting world, I think there's a lot of stuff done incorrectly in trying to lift the most weight as possible. But I think they're really starting to understand the importance of technique and doing it properly rather than just lifting as heavy as they can. And that's been very successful for us that we've in our off season this year.
And having that space like the flex, which any student can access with their student card, it's a big space that they can go in, and there's tons of equipment in there. But then varsity also having that separate space with ETS, it's almost like having your own personal trainer. So yeah, like you mentioned, they're able to create a program and cater it specific to sport. They work with all the different varsity teams. Athletes can book time in there, whether it's in between classes or maybe on a day that there's not much going on academically. And they create programs for our athletes, both in season and out of season as well. So your team currently working through a fitness training program with them.
Yeah, that part's huge because again, with the classes, I mean, when we're dealing with Canada and college, I mean, the focus is academics and in the classroom. So the fact that they can have their individual time and we allow that independence to make sure that they get their work done, so that they can focus on their classes and make sure that, again, the reason why they're at school is to graduate and move on with life. So, and while they're there, again, they have a great experience playing sports. So it's a great way to balance the classroom and the athletics as well.
And then that kind of jumps into our last area here, which is also located in the CRWC, which is our varsity study hall. So this is space specific to varsity athletes between Ontario Tech and Durham College that they're able to come to. As you can see, couches, tables, desks, people can come there in between classes, anything to work on. Some teams institute mandatory study hall for any athletes that might be struggling academically. There could be a certain number of hours that are mandated to be in here, but it's definitely a space that varsity athletes are able to take advantage of.
Yeah, so what we did specifically with the baseball team this year is we, with the COVID situation, we implemented, just Monday night Zoom meetings, and they were pretty good. We kind of just worked around, again, the focus was just to take that time to kind of stop what they're doing and just lock in on school for an hour or so. Just maybe a reminder. I mean, some of our players do very well academically. So, and then again, trying to create a little bit of a peer mentoring or peer tutoring, whatever you want to call it, where some of the guys who have been through it, they understand the schedule and they're able to help out the new athletes coming in. That we found that was huge. Really looking forward to hopefully, post-COVID, to getting into the rooms where we can actually be there and talk. And then we're going to use the time. Again, it'll be for school. It'll be for studying. It'll be for meetings. It'll be for, talking about the previous games, whatever the case may be. But just the time to make sure that we lock in and focus on something that we need to focus. So, it's something that I think the word study hall kind of, it doesn't sound very fun, but I think it was received pretty well from our athletes, and they did a good job of taking advantage of that hour.
So then, jumping off from the facilities, we'll go back to talk about athletic therapy a little bit. Mm-hmm. Definitely one of the best features, I think, of athletics at Durham is the fact that each varsity team gets 2 student trainers embedded with them. So these are student trainers coming from the Ontario Tech Kinesiology program or from the Sheridan Athletic Therapy program. This is what they're trained to do. And they're, of course, overseen by our athletic therapists from our AT clinic, Allison and Saul. So can you just maybe touch on a little bit? Obviously, did you have athletic therapy with the team, the national championship winning team?
In 2011?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did actually. His name's escaping me right now, but again, they become part of the team. That's something that was huge. And again, we had that in 2011. The name escapes me right now.
All good.
But a huge part of it. And again, it's something where you know, their focus is something that they want to do for a career. So it's a great opportunity for them to get involved and be part of a group and to assess it. It's a very good life experience for them. And then we take advantage of it. It's a lot of stuff that, we think we know or we kind of, but again, having somebody who is an expertise in the field is huge. It takes a huge load off the coach's plate, worrying about different things. If players get hit, it takes away the guesswork trying for a coach to say, okay, should he play right now? I need him to play versus should he play? And the trainers do a very good job of making sure that, that part's taken out of it. And the pure thought is just about the athlete's well-being. So,
and having them with the team, they're on the road with you guys, going to away games. If there's any exhibitions and stuff, they're there as well. I know some of them are working with the teams right now through training. And it's such a huge advantage because you might go to a school on an away game and there's nobody on that other side to assist that team if any minor injuries or cramps or anything like that. And having two of them with your team embedded with the team is such a huge advantage, I think.
Yeah. Oh no, it's huge. Like we said, even just for taping and post work, like if there's ice or whatever needs to get done afterwards, that's something that, it may seem like a small thing, but I mean, there's a specific way to do things and do things properly, and they understand that. So, and then the big thing too is just having somebody motivated, outside of, to motivate their career to make sure that they're helping us out. It's kind of helping both parties out. So I think we take advantage of that on both sides. So it's good. It's a good experience.
So next up is a question that came up pretty often in the summer, is touching on what a student athlete might have to do if there's a conflict between academics and their varsity sports. So say they might have a class at the same time as practice or kind of bumping into the start of practice, or maybe you guys are traveling for an away game and they might have to miss a Friday. What are things that those student athletes would have to do to deal with those conflicts?
Well, there's, again, the biggest thing is just developing a relationship with all their teachers immediately. As soon as they have the schedule in their hands, they should have that conversation with their teachers. And we understand completely that the priority is academics. So again, at no point where, if somebody needs to be in class, they need to be in class. We'll do everything to make sure that we can balance both, and we'll help them with that. That's something that our coaching staff is very good at, is making sure we can help kids manage their time as needed. But again, if there's a conflict and they can't work it out from a baseball side, then they go to class, and that's completely fine with us. Number one priority, again, is just trying to make sure there's communication on both ends so that there's no surprises. So teachers should know well in advance, if they're there or they're not there. And if they need to be in class, then that's where they'll be.
And I think that is the answer I've heard from a lot of coaches, is just at the very beginning of the year as a varsity athlete, you need to make that connection and build that relationship with the teacher. Yeah. Because the great thing about sports is the schedule is already there. You guys are going to know your schedule. It's made in the summer. From the very first day of class, you can show the teacher and figure out if there's any conflicts with the syllabus. And, if you do have to travel on that Friday and you might have to miss a class, they'll know months ahead of time rather than showing up the day before and saying, I'm not going to be here, which never goes over very well.
No. And that's a big thing and again, it's communication. It's handing that schedule to them, as well as constantly communicating with them, reminding them, letting them know, hey, remember this Friday, I'm going to be away because I'm in, we're going to Windsor or whatever the case may be. They need to know that, again, it's human nature. So you don't want to be throwing, hey, I told you in September, but no, like that constant communication needs to happen. And again, that's the biggest part, is just communicating with the teachers, with the coaches, anything that they're doing or feeling, they need to make sure that we can stay on top of that, because once they come in, it's go right away. There's not a whole lot of time to get used to things. So when you're a freshman coming in, it starts immediately. So the balance piece it can be tough for some. That's why we lean on our veteran players to help them out. And then again, leaning on any resources they can, whether it's coaching staff or outside academic help.
And there's tons of academic supports too. We have an academic officer in Mike Duggan that kind of keeps track of all the athletes. If anybody's struggling, additional assistance is provided to them, whether it's extra time in the study hall being mandated, or maybe they'll schedule some time with some peer tutoring or with SALS, which is our student academic learning services. So there's definitely additional academic supports for anybody that might need it.
Well, and that's it. That's something that is huge for an athlete, I think, because again, like we've talked about, and I'm sure some of the other coaches talk about, the whole purpose of being at college is to graduate. So, and it's, the baseball or whatever other sport they're playing is the bonus. So, and then it's finding the way to balance both. And again, like you just mentioned, I mean, the services and resources they have, again, there's, you should be able to handle both. But again, there'll always be some struggles, and the key is to not wait. We tell our athletes all the time, like, we're not trying to catch you not doing well in school. We're not trying to, we're trying to make sure that we can catch something early enough so that you're not failing classes and you can stay academically eligible to play and to graduate.
And then shifting from there into looking more into recruits and athletes as they're coming into the school. What's one thing athletically that a potential recruit can work on, say, that year leading up to when they come to college? So maybe that grade 12 year, or maybe they did the victory lap, or they're a university student maybe looking to do a post-grad. What's that one thing athletically they should be working on before coming to college and trying to compete in the varsity sport?
I would say just strength and fitness training is huge. I mean, most of the players are going to be part of a program that come in. A number of the programs right now are doing a great job with fitness training. So again, if there's some that don't have that, we'll even provide it for them as they come in or looking for something to do. But definitely coming in and trying to get an advantage and a head start on getting stronger will definitely benefit players, because again, this league is, you're coming in as a 17, 18-year-old. There's players 22, 23, 24. They're coming back from whatever experiences they've had. It's a big difference in size and strength for some of them. So I see it with our freshmen and our players who are, they're about to graduate. A big difference in how the size and strength of some of the kids. So that's a big one, is to get as strong and athletic as possible coming in.
And it's noticeable, definitely, to see how the body changes with some of these guys. Like, just thinking of some of the players on the team when Connor May came in, pretty small guy, but he's built himself up. And Josh Krstulovic, another pitcher with the team, he's had some opportunities after college as well. But I think a lot of it has had to do with the training they've been able to do.
Well, it is. And then plus they just get physically, just naturally grow. So again, that's something that, I've been very conscious of making sure to not just focus on, the 6'3", 225-pound athlete, because I believe in our strength training process. And again, somebody undersized and undervalued could be a huge addition to us, because if they're willing to do the work, they'll get the results out of it. Our program's, laid out for them to have success. So that's something that can be, very attractive to us, as some of the players who get overlooked because of their lack of size. We can take advantage of that and really trust our process and trust our program to get them ready for the season.
With the next question, it's a bit of a scenario here. When you have the opportunity most summers to go out and watch players and get a feel for them, what is some things that you look for when you have the opportunity to get out there and start scouting?
I'm a big fan of good baseball actions. How to define that, I don't know. But I think, that's a common comment that we make in our, when we're talking to other coaches. He has good baseball actions, or Good swing. They field the ball. There's just something there that they have that is very similar and common in a number of different athletes. So definitely something like that. I love speed. It's really tough for speed to struggle. We've talked about this all the time. If you can play defense and run a little bit and pitch, you can kind of manufacture runs. If you don't have that powerful lineup, if you can get it all together in 1 year, that's great. And I've seen that at Durham a couple times, so it's definitely possible. But again, I'm really looking for players who can play the game. I'm a big fan of players who are willing to dive in front of baseballs and slide and get dirty. I love that type of player, dirtbag type of player. And again, I'd love to get as many of those as we can. That's a big. I love coaching them and then watching them play.
They're the grinders, right? The max effort. They go all out.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say the game is so hard. So if you can take care of the little details of it, the big details are tough. So it's hard to go for 4 for 10 or whatever the case may be, but it's not that hard to hustle, and it's not that hard to make plays if you can do it and focus on it. So again, if we can really take care of those small details, then we'll manufacture stuff if we're not going to be hitting 5 home runs, whatever the case may be. So that's a huge piece to be part of that.
So you've coached for a number of years now, even though this is your first year with DC as the head coach. You've coached with DC previously as an assistant. Based on your experiences leading teams, if I was a high school player or a club player coming out to watch one of your teams play, what do you think is one thing that would stand out about your teams to me?
I think the goal is going to be to hustle. That's the key, is to look, hustle and discipline is a big thing of mine. And then really it's just taking whatever athletes you have and then creating your game plan based off that. It could change year to year as to what it looks like. Again, I've, good friend of Sam Dempster, who's the, coach there since the beginning. And just the amount of different, watching him just, okay, this is what we have this year, so this is how we're going to do our offense. So I learned from him, and that's a big thing that I'd like is where, you have guys who can hit the home run, then you can lead that way. But I think what will stay consistent and be accountable for the athletes is to be respectful, to be disciplined, and to hustle in the right moments. So that's something is the non-negotiables, and then everything else kind of will fit in based off the talent group that we have.
And I can say from my experience watching the teams, traveling with the teams as a student, when I was able to go to one of the OCAA championships to cover the team, and now working at DC and being able to see them, there's definitely a consistency in terms of camaraderie with the Durham College teams.
Yeah.
You guys are always having fun in the dugouts. You guys are always very much up and keeping each other up throughout games. I think it's a trait that you don't necessarily see in every team that comes through, but when you're there watching Durham, I definitely see it. Yeah,
you know what? It's funny you say that, because I played in 97, 99, 2000, I think it was. And that's like, I still talk to some of the players, today, and it's amazing how, 10 years later, I go and coach in 2010, 2011, and it's the same kind of thing. They get together quick, and they got to compete quick. They're just meeting each other and starting to compete right away. So it's something. And then of course now, just from listening to Sam and the coaching staff now, that's something that's been huge, and it's consistent throughout the year. So that's getting on 20 plus years of just that. That's just it. There, there's groups of friends that will last a lifetime from these programs, and that's true of all sport. It's just something that they, when you have that common goals and things, it typically it goes that way. But that's something definitely I've noticed is, as a player and then as a coach, you really see players really get along and really want to be part of it.
Yeah, I see them. It's not just on the baseball diamond. they come watch other games, whether it's maybe coming to a
Yeah,
basketball game or checking out the softball team, or catch them in the hallways too. They're definitely always together.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a good thing. And again, I hear, and I think I think they even have competitions on campus now, don't they? With who goes to watch other sports and things
DC
like
for
that.
DC, yeah, supporting the other teams.
I'm a huge volleyball fan. So again, when I was coaching into that, I would go to the games as much as I could. Yeah, and then I'm looking forward to. Well, a little disappointed it was canceled, but for this year, but definitely I'll be watching volleyball, and of course, I think there's a natural relationship with the softball group as well. So definitely seem to support each other.
So then, just to round things out with the last questions, it's any final tips you have for someone that would be interested in college athletics? You get to speak to it from a lot of different points of view. You were a college athlete. You have coached as an assistant. You're stepping in as a head coach. Just any tips you have for someone?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is understanding what you want to do with it. First of all, really focusing on the school part of it. I would really hesitate to, even recruit an athlete who is really uncertain of what they want to do. And if they're just coming to play a sport, I don't know if that necessarily works out. Now, again, we have enough programs that you can kind of test the waters on, at Durham. And I think that's a great thing if you're unsure. But really be focused on when you get in there. And again, just from the athletic side, being focused and do things just to lead so many life attributes that you'll need, when you're working, being on time, putting the work in that's necessary. Those things are huge. And I think just from really making sure that you understand how to do that in the classroom and on the field will definitely lead to a better successful life, whatever path that is for the athlete.
And that will round it out. So thanks for joining me tonight, Darryl, for this.
No problem. Appreciate it.